Imagine a company paying you every month for a disaster that, ideally, never happens. That is the strange economic promise at the center of a cybersecurity firm. The client cannot hold the product. Most employees never see the work. And when the service succeeds, the result often looks like nothing at all. No ransomware screen. No stolen customer list. No panicked call at 2 in the morning. Yet the demand is real. The FBI says reported internet crime losses in 2025 approached $21 billion. That number is not a forecast of cybersecurity spending, but it explains why boards and business owners are paying attention. A security firm converts that fear into something useful. Assessments, monitoring, compliance work, incident response, and better decisions. From the outside, this can look like a high-margin knowledge business. Hire smart analysts, buy a few software tools, and charge premium fees. The reality is more complicated. Talent is expensive. Trust takes time to earn. Software bills grow with every client. One mistake can damage several companies at once. So where does the money actually come from? Where does it go? And what can the owner keep? A cybersecurity client rarely wants more security in the abstract. They want a specific business problem reduced. A hospital wants systems available and patient data protected. A manufacturer wants production to continue. A growing software company wants to pass a customer security review. A law firm wants to reassure clients that confidential files are handled responsibly. That means the valuable product is not a scanner, a dashboard, or a long technical report. It is confidence supported by evidence. The firm must understand the client's operations, identify important risks, recommend practical controls, and communicate in language executives can use. NIST cybersecurity framework organizes outcomes around 6 functions: govern, identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. A cybersecurity firm can sell services across that entire cycle. But a small firm should not try to do everything on day one. Specialization makes delivery repeatable. It also makes marketing clearer. A firm might focus on penetration testing for software companies, virtual security leadership for healthcare practices, compliance preparation for government suppliers, or managed detection for regional businesses. The tighter the promise, the easier it is to train staff, estimate hours, select tools, and explain why the service deserves its price. Most cybersecurity firms combine 4 revenue models. The first is project work. Examples include a penetration test, risk assessment, cloud review, or compliance readiness engagement. Projects are easy for clients to understand, but revenue can be uneven. Every finished engagement creates a new hole in the calendar. The second model is recurring managed service. The client pays monthly for monitoring, vulnerability management, security administration, or ongoing advisory support. Recurring revenue is more predictable, but it comes with continuous obligations. The firm cannot simply pause service during a quiet week. The third model is incident response. This can command high rates because the need is urgent and the stakes are large. But emergencies are unpredictable. Keeping experts available costs money even when the phone is silent. The healthiest firms often build a ladder. A focused assessment starts the relationship. Remediation planning follows. A recurring advisory or monitoring contract creates continuity. Incident support becomes an optional retainer. Each step solves a real problem and increases customer lifetime value without forcing the sales team to begin from zero every month. Compared with a restaurant or factory, a cybersecurity firm can open with little physical equipment. A solo consultant may need a strong computer, secure communications, professional insurance, legal documents, accounting, a website, and enough savings to survive a slow sales cycle. But low physical cost does not mean low business risk. Tools add another layer. Ticketing, documentation, password management, endpoint security, cloud infrastructure, threat intelligence, scanning, and reporting software may each have minimum commitments. The firm also needs to secure itself more carefully than an ordinary office because its accounts may provide privileged access into client environments. An illustrative lean launch might use $25,000 for legal setup, insurance, equipment, software, marketing, and working capital. A team launching managed services could need several $100,000 once salaries, a monitoring platform, sales costs, and 6 months of runway are included. The real opening cost is the gap between starting work and collecting dependable revenue. Cybersecurity sales is expensive because the buyer is purchasing both expertise and character. The provider may see sensitive architecture, employee data, vulnerabilities, and executive conversations. Before sharing that access, the client wants proof that the firm is competent, discreet, insured, and likely to exist next year. That proof can come from references, recognized certifications, clean sample reports, clear methodologies, and founders who explain risk without exaggeration. Fear may attract attention, but fear alone produces fragile relationships. Good clients want priorities and trade-offs, not theatrical promises that no attacker will ever succeed. This is why a clear niche matters economically. Referrals travel faster when people know exactly what the company does. Standard packages shorten proposals. Case studies reduce perceived risk. Partnerships with IT providers, law firms, insurers, and compliance advisors can create a repeatable pipeline. In this business, reputation is not decoration. It is part of the cost of acquiring revenue. Cybersecurity firms usually price by the hour, by the project, per user or device, or through a monthly retainer. Each method moves risk between the client and the provider. Hourly billing protects the firm when the scope is uncertain, but clients dislike an open meter. Fixed project pricing gives budget certainty, yet the firm absorbs extra effort when systems are undocumented or access arrives late. Per-device pricing scales with the environment, but one device count does not always reflect complexity. Retainers create stable revenue, while vague retainer language can quietly create unlimited work. The price should begin with delivery economics. Estimate labor hours by role. Use loaded labor cost, which includes salary, payroll taxes, benefits, training, management, and non-billable time. Add tools, subcontractors, travel, insurance, sales expense, and a share of overhead. Then add a margin for uncertainty and profit. Value still matters. Preventing 1 day of downtime may be worth far more than the hours used to test a control. But strong contracts must still define assumptions, client responsibilities, deliverables, emergency work, and change orders. Consider an illustrative penetration test sold for $30,000. The firm expects 160 technical hours. At a loaded cost of $95 per hour, that is $15,200. Add $1,200 for specialized tools and infrastructure. Add $4,500 for scoping, project management, quality review, and the final presentation. Finally, allocate $5,000 for sales and general overhead. The project now has roughly $4,100 left as operating contribution, about 14% of revenue. That is before a major surprise. If testing takes 40 extra hours, most of the contribution disappears. If the report is rushed to protect margin, quality, and reputation suffer instead. The answer is not to pressure testers to move faster blindly. It is to improve scoping and reuse the right systems. Ask how many applications, roles, interfaces, cloud accounts, and network ranges are included. Confirm testing windows and access. Use a consistent evidence workflow. Separate technical testing from report review so senior experts spend time where judgment matters. Now consider a managed security account paying $5,000 per month or $60,000 per year. Suppose software and data services cost $12,000. Routine analyst work consumes about 144 hours annually. At $90 of loaded cost per hour, that is almost $13,000. Service management and escalation add $8,000, while sales and administration add $6,000. The account appears to contribute about $21,000 before central company overhead. That is attractive, but averages can hide danger. One badly configured client may produce 10 times more alerts than another. A neglected environment may create endless remediation meetings. A contract that includes unlimited response can turn one incident into months of unpaid work. Managed service economics depend on standardization. Clients should enter through a documented onboarding process. Supported technologies should be defined. Alerts should be tuned. Escalation rules should identify what the provider handles and what the client must decide. Automation should remove repetitive collection and ticket creation, while humans focus on investigation and judgment. People are usually the largest cost. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported a 2024 median annual wage of about $125,000 for information security analysts, and projected strong employment growth through 2034. A small firm competes for that talent with banks, software companies, government contractors, and global consultancies. Salary is only the beginning. Employees need benefits, equipment, training, certification time, management, and periods between assignments. If an analyst costs the company $160,000 per year, but only 1,200 hours are realistically billable, the loaded cost is about $133 per billable hour before tools and overhead. Utilization therefore matters, but one target cannot fit every role. A consultant may be mostly billable. A research lead, salesperson, or service manager creates value through work that cannot be invoiced directly. Push utilization too high and the firm stops learning, documenting, and improving. Burnout rises. Quality falls. Cybersecurity firms can accidentally become resellers with consulting attached. Endpoint agents, vulnerability platforms, cloud scanners, logging, threat intelligence, backup, ticketing, and reporting systems may all charge per user, device, gigabyte, or tenant. Vendor bills often arrive whether or not the client has paid. Good tool economics begin with a service design. What outcome is being delivered? Which data is necessary? Which tool is the standard? What volume causes the vendor price to jump? Can a client leave without creating stranded licenses? These questions should be answered before the company signs a long contract. There is also concentration risk. If one platform powers every customer, an outage or breach at that provider can affect the entire book of business. CISA and partner agencies have warned that service providers are attractive targets because trusted access can become a path into many customers. The firm must treat its own environment as production infrastructure. Strong identity controls, separate administration, logging, tested backups, and limited privileges. Security is not merely a delivery expense. It is the factory maintenance of this business. Incident response creates a peculiar inventory problem. The product is expert availability. A client may pay a retainer and never call, which is the best security outcome. But if several clients call during the same widespread event, every promise is tested at once. A response practice needs trained investigators, secure evidence handling, legal coordination, communications discipline, and clear authority. Some cases run through nights and weekends. Overtime, travel, specialist contractors, and employee recovery time all change the real margin. Retainers should therefore define readiness, not imaginary unlimited capacity. The agreement can reserve a response window, specify hourly rates, identify covered systems, and explain what happens when prepaid hours are exhausted. The firm should maintain partner relationships for forensics, legal advice, crisis communications, and restoration work that it cannot safely provide alone. Incident work can be profitable, but relying on emergencies makes revenue volatile and culture exhausting. The strongest economics usually pair readiness retainers with recurring prevention and a controlled amount of response work. The company is paid to be prepared, not rewarded for hoping clients catch fire. Profit on a spreadsheet does not guarantee cash in the bank. A small firm may pay salaries every 2 weeks while an enterprise customer pays 60 days after receiving an invoice. Annual software commitments may be due before monthly client revenue arrives. A growing company can therefore appear successful and still run out of cash. Projects often use a deposit, milestone invoice, and final payment. Managed services work better with automatic monthly billing or annual prepayment. Incident response may require a funded retainer before the emergency. The contract should align cash collection with the moment the firm becomes committed. Retention is equally important. Winning a customer can consume months. Losing one removes revenue immediately while many costs remain. Track renewal dates, gross margin, support load, relationship health, and concentration. If one client supplies 30% of revenue, a single procurement decision can become an existential event. Recurring revenue deserves a quality test. Is the service truly recurring? Is the scope controlled? Is delivery documented? Can another qualified employee take over? Predictable invoices without predictable work are only a different form of uncertainty. A cybersecurity firm is paid to find weaknesses, but that authority has boundaries. Testing the wrong system, mishandling evidence, exposing client data, or overstating a conclusion can create legal and financial harm. Errors and omissions insurance and cyber insurance help, but they do not replace disciplined operations. Every engagement needs written authorization, precise scope, secure data handling, retention rules, and a clear escalation path. Reports should separate observed evidence from assumptions. High-risk findings need careful validation. Client credentials should be temporary, protected, and removed when work ends. Reputation behaves like compound interest. A thoughtful response during a difficult incident can create years of relationships. A careless screenshot can erase them in a day. This is why quality assurance is not non-billable bureaucracy. Senior review, peer checks, and secure delivery protect the firm's most important economic asset. The owner must also be willing to refuse work. An unclear scope, unethical request, impossible deadline, or client unwilling to fix basic safety issues may carry more downside than revenue. Sometimes the most profitable decision is a calm no. Early cybersecurity firms often revolve around a talented founder. The founder sells, scopes, performs the hardest work, reviews every report, and manages every important relationship. Revenue may grow, but the company has not scaled. It has created an extremely demanding job. Scaling begins by turning judgment into a system without pretending judgment can be automated away. Define service packages. Write entry and exit criteria. Create checklists, evidence standards, report templates, and escalation rules. Measure estimated versus actual hours. Review gross margin by service and by client. Then build a talent pyramid. Senior experts handle design, difficult findings, and client decisions. Mid-level staff run engagements. Junior analysts perform structured work with supervision. Automation collects data, creates tickets, and assembles repeatable sections. Each layer should make the next layer more effective. Growth is healthy only when cash, quality, and security grow with revenue. Hiring ahead of demand burns runway. Hiring too late burns people. The operating system of the firm is what balances those risks. Consider an illustrative 8-person firm generating $1.5 million in annual revenue. Payroll and contractors consume $840,000. Tools and data cost $180,000. Sales and administration use $150,000. Insurance, legal work, internal security, cloud infrastructure, travel, and other overhead consume another $165,000. That leaves roughly $165,000 of operating profit, or 11%, before taxes and any unusual event. The owner may also receive a salary for working in the business. But salary pays for a job. Profit is the return for ownership risk. The attractive cybersecurity firm is not the one that promises to stop every attack. It is the one that chooses a clear market, prices the full cost of expertise, earns trust without selling panic, and builds repeatable systems around human judgment. Clients are buying fewer surprises. Employees are selling disciplined attention. And the owner's real product is a reliable organization that can make difficult decisions when the screen turns red.